You are now listening to the Young Black and Figuring It Out podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at YoungBlackFIO or on Facebook at Young Black and Figuring It Out. For all questions or inquiries, send your emails to ybfpodcast20@gmail.com. But if you really want to make a statement while showing your support, go to www.youngblackfio.com to purchase some merchandise. We truly appreciate your love and support. On behalf of the YBF team, thank you.
What's good, y'all? It's your boy Herb.
And it's your girl Mo.
And welcome to our soon-to-be
world-renowned
podcast,
Young, Black, and Figuring It Out.
What up, though?
What it do?
Whatever we tell it.
True.
You added a little. Hey, you know what's wild? So I went back and watched some old episodes just to try to get, I was just getting reacquainted to the podcast as we come into our new season.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're excited to be back and doing our thing and knocking it out. And I saw that episode. This wasn't even on purpose where we started doing that.
Oh, for true?
Yeah.
What episode was it? Like
that
2,
was
3?
No. It was way later. It was well down the road. I'm gonna go back and check which one it was, but I just listened to it.
Do you remember the season?
It was season 2.
Oh.
It was when we first started doing the video.
Interesting.
So season 1 was all audio.
Right.
Yeah. So season 2.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's crazy how things pick up.
Yeah, and now I'm really interested. What were we saying before that?
Yeah.
What did that look like?
What's up? Where did it get started?
I feel like I must have not said words.
Yeah, it's how do we get into a podcast without that? Yeah, it was dope. It was cool to go back and watch.
That's cool.
And watch that.
Nice.
Yeah, because I even had said, we need to keep doing that.
That sounds like
as a joke. We got to do that every time.
Mm-hmm.
Funny.
I feel like I didn't say it one time, or you were looking for me to say it. I was like, oh, was that what I said?
Yo. Yeah, that might have happened. Yeah. But nah, for sure.
Yeah, I like it now. It works.
Yeah, for sure. Man, should I tell people to know? No, I'm playing. It's my aura ring, y'all.
For the listeners, there is a giant ring that looks black on his married finger or ring finger.
Yeah, it's an aura ring.
And every so often I ask him as well. It's like, didn't invite me, I see.
Nah, but you would get an invite to the wedding, though. You know what I'm saying? We planning that right now, just so folks know. It's going to be offshores.
Off reality.
It's going to be in... Actually, you know what, though? If I ever did get married, it would probably be somewhere where it would be accessible.
I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
I'm not going to do a destination because it's not accessible.
That's fair.
You know what I'm saying? I'm going to make sure people can actually pull up. But also, there's somebody who, I just was kidding with, they got eloped. They just dipped, and they're like, yo, so much that you put onto a wedding, you know what I'm saying, for that one day, actually is counterproductive to, the goals of what marriage is supposed to be.
Oh, yeah. I would love to elope if I ever were to get married.
For real.
I don't want the hassle of all the extraness. And I don't mind people being there. I ain't doing all the frills and the trills. I'd enjoy a party, but I don't really want to do all the hullabaloo.
Okay. We'll go back and have a conversation about that. Let's see, is this even
This is not what this topic or episode is about at all. How did we get here?
But nah, okay. I'm going to spin the block. I'm going to log that to have a conversation about. Okay. So I think, before we get started, we have a fire topic today. It's important and very timely. This is so we say all our topics are important, but this is time sensitive and important. So we go and play this back. I want to make sure we do this episode justice. So that we did part of our parts to make sure that we are protecting our nation and our path to success and safety. Because today is all about getting out to vote. So it's get out and vote. Your voice, your vote, right? And so it's super important that we do for folks. We'll get all into the idea of not voting and what that might actually impact and how that impacts. But it is an important thing to exercise or reflect on once you get to that that age to where you can, because again, everything matters. Sometimes people feel like it doesn't count, blah blah blah, but we got to make sure we talk about that. So we'll dive into a little bit of history. We'll talk about why it's so important.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it is that season. It's time. Yeah,
Get in there.
and it's serious, y'all.
Oh Lord.
Hey, it's serious.
You start having flashbacks of like
Yeah.
different elections, because when did I start voting? 08? Yeah. And it's just been increasingly more difficult every 4 years. So
yeah. Gotcha. Before we get into that though, let's talk about what we actually figured out
this week.
Yes, we our first time to like really dive.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh man. I mean, I feel like everything this summer has taught me a lot, but this week in particular, I have realized that appreciating what you have and being grateful for it is so important.
Yeah.
I think sometimes I've just taken so many people or things for granted and did not understand the gravity of the blessing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the level of favor or like peace that I have in life. There are just moments that people are like going through things or things are happening, and I am just so blessed that my little piece is still there, solid. And I'm like, man, I really got to tell the people like in my life who bring me joy and like, support and all kinds of things. Thank you.
Word.
I appreciate you. Everyone doesn't have like solid friends or solid people, you know what I'm saying? And it's been a rough, I ain't gonna lie, it's been a rough week of all kinds of things popping off. But my peace is stable and I'm thankful.
So can we celebrate on the podcast? I'm trying to put all your business out here. So your girl Moni Mo officially got her license to be a licensed marriage and family therapist. Hey man, can we clap it up? We're gonna add some animations in there to clap it up, y'all. So yes.
You done gonna make me cry. Don't ask me why, guys.
Yeah, she be crying every episode. But it's like, it don't matter. Listen, it's okay. It's allergies. But no, I congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so like you said, just the idea of being grateful, like did that experience play into it? Like getting that, or that accomplishing that milestone?
This is one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. This was a trying, let's call it 2-year process. You put you through some ebbs and some flows, but them valleys were valiant.
The valleys was real.
The struggle was struggling. After a while, it's like a mental weight.
Yeah.
And I am very thankful for like the people who, really held me together. Your village, the constant support, the encouragement, the like push, don't quit. Because I was ready to give up. I was like, I can't do this. It's too much. So yeah, it was one of those things. You want to hold your faith in the midst of difficulty.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks. Appreciate that.
Congrats, yo. For sure.
Thank you. A lot of hard work, but we're here now, guys.
We shall overcome.
Yeah, with you.
Nah, congrats though. That's
Thank
big.
you. Now, what did you figure out this week, sir?
Oh man, mine was simple. Like, continuing to dream is so important. I think Tupac had this very interesting line where he was like, he was referring to more like being I can't remember the exact words and terms, and I'm gonna say how I perceived it, then I'm gonna go back and rewatch what he said.
Okay.
Because it's gonna be not exactly how I paraphrase it, but it's gonna be what I took from it. But he was like something to the effect of like, you gotta make sure that while you got like your youth, that you are still pushing back against the status quo and challenging things and like going after things. Because he was like, his exact words were, when the last time you seen like a loudmouth 30-year-old, right? Because basically what he was getting at is like, as you continue to age, it's like all of the things in the world are like weighing you down, and so you become almost like compliant and complacent with the way things are. So I used to got energy to do it, and I think that was probably in the 90s, and so now, youth, literally. But then the way we approach age now has changed differently. So that age might not be 30, it might be 40 now,
Very true.
But the concept is the same.
Right.
Is that if you don't continue to like exercise your mind and keep the vision that you had when you were younger, and like all of the barriers and perceived things that get in the way, have gotten in the way, if you don't like keep that mind state before you got to that point, you'll like lose it and just become into like the routine, and you wake up and be like, damn.
Yeah.
everything that passed me by, and I ain't going after it no more. So I was just having a conversation before, like I'm in a unique space where I'm like working a lot, and I'm not mad at that because like all the things I'm learning, it's like a playground for me to exercise and like experiment and try. You know, I'm taking it serious, but I also get to like do things.
Right. Take the risk.
Try things.
Yeah.
Take the risk. Learn, grow, see what works for me, for others, all that. But I don't want to get lost like this is the end state.
Right.
Because the end state is to make a larger impact on people who need it, for people who are close to me, and to set us up for success. You know? So I want to get lost in the sauce, basically what I'm saying. And the way to do that is to have an imagination, to dream, to do all that. So that's really what.
I hear that. And, you know, sometimes people say that dreamers, it's beautiful to be a dreamer, but sometimes dreamers kind of lack that execution. Like, how important do you think it is to have the two? Almost like, is it two sides of one coin?
If I had to say if one is more important than the other, I think the dreaming is more important. The reason why I say that, I think like I have seen people execute in circles. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, you doing a hell of a, like, you know what I mean? Like, you trying to get somewhere, and you, like, if you running around a square block and you trying to get to the next town, you ain't gonna never get there. You executing like hell.
Right.
Yeah, you moving, but.
Right.
Right. And then on the flip side of that, like somebody's dreaming, but they never go anywhere. It don't matter. You have all these visions of getting to that town, but you never take the first step.
Right.
But I almost think it's like, it's easier from what I've seen, and this could be a debate, there's no right or wrong, but it's easier to have somebody who got like this dream and to get somebody who will like, hey, jump in the passenger seat, bro. You tell us where we going, I'll drive.
Right.
You got to have that person that get you there. Then to get somebody with the vision that matches your vision. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's like more important, but both, you can't get anywhere without a little bit of both. You know what I'm saying?
Very fair.
And I think it's easier to lose the dream too, because it get cloudy.
Yeah.
You know
So,
what I'm saying?
especially if you're executing and not really going nowhere. There's like, what dream?
Yeah, you be like, I had a dream at one point.
You ain't chasing it.
Yo, it's like, what?
Yeah.
Like you wake up in a daze. Like, what happened? You know, that should be a whole episode.
That could be. Yeah.
We got 2 whole episodes out of this.
Why are we like this?
We done, y'all. That was it. Hey, listen, I know you're probably listening right now. But nah.
Ooh. But yeah, fair.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Oh, okay. We are going to, hey, I'm going to write that down for real and bring that back. Okay. Yeah. Good. All right. Look at us. We back into it. That's our first one. I had to make sure that this episode was the next one. Because sometimes we pre-record, y'all. We want to throw y'all off. But I wanted to make sure, like, is this the next one for me to talk about, you know? But yeah. So this one, we recording this in the order in which we let it go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So let's jump into talking about, and we want it to be a dialogue. So if y'all actually are listening and you're like, hey, I want to add to this, let's do that in the comments.
Right.
Follow us on Instagram. What's the Instagram, man?
Young Black Fio.
Yes. Follow Instagram. Hit us up on Facebook if that's what you do, or respond directly into the podcast, because we don't have people leave like audio messages and whatnot.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, let's talk about it because we do want to hear. But yeah, so right now we are in a unique space. We are not too far away from the election on November 5th. And we are, I mean, listen, y'all, it's tense. It's tense. There's been a lot going on. It's so, I'm not going to lie. Out of all the elections, even this last one, or the one with Hillary Clinton in 45, this is one that seems like the most
tense.
Like tense, and it feels like the most is at stake, and people are aware of it. Now that could be the nature of like I'm more aware of it, and so people have always felt like that.
Right.
But for my own experience, this feels like, you know what I'm saying? Like people understand the weight of this.
Right. I think there's been experience in the past that gives more insight now on some candidates. So it's more weighty because people feel very strongly one way or the other, and they have more reason to. So it is. Well, I'll tell you, it's heavy. It's stressful. The thought of it is stressful.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like more reason to. Like we've experienced both of these candidates in some way, shape, or form.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that's new. Because so we'll use name today so people not misunderstanding. So Donald Trump was the president. People have experienced that. Kamala, vice president, Kamala Harris,
There you
is I did that because I think about when he mispronounced her name.
Yeah. And I always say Kamala. So like in my head, I see comma
so funny.
and la to make sure I say it correctly.
Yeah, but yes, okay. But like people have experienced her and have either positive experiences, same thing with Donald Trump, or negative experiences based on what they've experienced. So we got like this very new situation versus like when somebody has ran for 8 years and you have 2 new candidates about, right? So this is, yeah, you're right. That was a very good point. That
Thank
people
you.
have a reason to feel the way they feel right now. So let's go back. So talking about voting. So I've heard a lot of people like, in every election, like, nah, I'm not.
Nah, I ain't voting.
Participating, but especially for Black and brown folks. Let's talk about this, right? So we got some research up in here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, you want me to do it?
Yeah, you got it. Oh, never mind.
All right, look, so Black men, let's go specific. So Black folks, so for folks maybe don't know this, not everybody has had the right to vote.
Right. Since the beginning
in
of
America. Since the beginning of the Declaration of America, not the founding, because like we created, but it was already.
Who's we?
So put out there. I am adding. I'm not a part. This is my country because we built the country.
Fair.
So
that
this
is
ours.
That is a perfect point.
Yeah, so we
that
built
was it right there.
It was on our backs, so this should be. Y'all owe us more, but this is mine because yes, we built that. And it was restolen. Okay, we just go speak honest today. Okay,
Why lie?
So for a while, only white men who owned property, right? So not even all white folks. Only white men who owned property could vote in America and start. So you think about the idea, and this is why this is so important, because there are things now like the Constitution and laws today that are hard to amend that were set up by people who created the country with that way and had only their perceptions in mind.
Right. They had the power, they had the influence, so it fit their agenda.
Right. So it's long lasting. Even the way, this is hard for people to conceptualize. The way that we think about how laws operate and what should or should not be is set up in what we know, which was set up by those people. Right? So you think about all of the anger and pushback against things like gun laws.
Right.
Like Second Amendment right. I have the right to
bear arms.
That idea in itself is something that was created by people who had just come out of a revolutionary war and never wanted to have a point where the people couldn't respond to an attack or threat from their government.
Right. They didn't want the revolution to happen to them like they did.
Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's like laws, even in themselves, the way they were created, are by people who were white men wealthy.
Yes.
Okay. So that's the setup. And even Black men in the U.S. weren't granted the right to vote until 1870. Now, even though they could vote on paper,
legally,
they could not vote because there were still state laws, still intimidation,
tactics,
and still taxes and literary tests that for folks who weren't allowed to read and write, that still prevented Black men from being able to vote. So folks couldn't really vote, oh my goodness, until 1965.
That wasn't that long ago.
Wow.
Not even a century ago.
Wow. Okay. All right. So that's what it though. You notice I said white men. So women also.
We're not. Nope.
We're not able to vote.
Nope. I just feel so shorthanded.
Keep going.
All through it. You know, it's like, ooh, look at that. I'm not in the conversation. Twofold, but okay.
Yeah, so women gained the right to vote. So Black men got in 1870, but couldn't really vote until 1965. Right. Women, regardless of race, gained the right to vote with the 19th Amendment. In 1920, that didn't apply to all women because, of course, Black women couldn't vote until 1965.
Right.
So if you think about the formation of a country, how laws were shaped, because again, I think people don't even understand how law governs our lives, even the way we think about how things operate. And that's why voting is so important. Because and I say this, and I do believe it. I think local politics are way more important than national politics. National politics are important, but who are your state legislators and your senators and who's the governor?
Because it literally will affect your day to day.
Every single day, what you can do, how you operate.
Your neighborhood, your schools, everything.
So
everything.
When we're going out to vote, we voting for mayors. We got like everything. Who's the police chief? Like, let's really get into, because that's going to flow from the folks who are in office. So all this to say, when I think about voting, so important. Have you also heard folks with I'm just going to abstain from voting?
Yes.
And what's your visceral response to that?
I'm always, I physically feel angry because it took so long for us to be recognized enough to earn a right to vote. Right. So for us to not utilize it bothers me. But I have to also respect that people have their own opinions. And I'm like, I'm not here to sway you one way or the other. I'm just like, can we both understand one another, right? Because sometimes their reasoning, I have heard people say, well, I'm not in a swing state. The state will vote the way I usually would vote anyway. So, and I'm like, okay. Now, if you were in a swing state, would you vote? And their answer is typically yes. I'm like, okay, fine. You just don't want to take the time that day. Because in my mind, I'm like, now, if we all felt like that, we ain't going to be that state anymore. It's going to swing the other direction. What are you doing?
Something like with New York. I'm in New York, so it don't matter. It's going to be blue.
And I know certain areas of New York, when I used to visit upstate, they would always complain that New York City, there's so many people, and they sway the vote anyway. And I'm like, oh, yeah, because when I lived down there, I watched it happen.
Yeah, for sure. Back when we wasn't in Vermont, upstate New York was crazy. So that makes sense. And when you go vote for the president, it's like a whole list of things you're voting for. It's not just the presidential election. It's a bunch of stuff you're voting for. Even like individuals like saying yes or no to certain things that are happening in your town, right? So it's like, it's just not you not going to vote, so you're not going to vote for the president.
Right.
Like you missing a whole opportunity to express your voice.
Right. And people don't necessarily do the research on all these other candidates or names or don't even know they exist.
Yeah, like what else is actually going on?
Right.
I should go look at the list of things.
And sometimes you just kind of vote for your party the whole way down, which, I mean, sure, but does that do what they want align with what you need? So, like, I don't think we as a population as much take the time to really learn about what's going on around us. We only focus on the big election and that's it. And then complain that nothing goes the way we want it.
Yeah, it's like, yo, you ain't really got there and express your voice. So here are the things that all appear on the ballot when you go vote for the president. Congressional elections, so members of the U.S. House
Very
and
important.
Senate. That might be more important than the president.
It is.
Oh my goodness.
It like, we have had plenty of presidents that will say all these promises and people complain, but because of who was in the House and the Senate, we
couldn't get
nothing
Obama
was getting through.
Mitch McConnell, all folks, they couldn't get nothing done.
Not one thing. Struggle bus.
Come on, y'all. Come on now. And
So
y'all
it's
know,
like,
come on.
I'm okay. I'm okay.
State and local offices, so governors, again, legislators, mayor, council members, all of that thing. And then these position things like healthcare policies and like day-to-day judicial system policies, all of that. And then judges and Supreme Court, all of these things, right, are show up when you go to vote. So it's not just like, oh, I'm not voting for this president. Like if you haven't done it before, or if you don't remember, like that, those are all the things that we are expressing our voice for. And we encourage you to, like, there's two ways to go about it. I typically say one is like go do your own research. That's the best answer.
Always
go do your own research. And now there's no excuse now because you literally could use one of my basically my cousin now. You can go look at and talk to Chat GPT and say, hey, I want to understand about these policies. And with like a 95% accuracy rate, that's not made up. That's true.
Very true.
It will bring back accurate information, especially if you use the right prompts that lets you know what's going on about these particular issues. And you can do that in 20 minutes in Chat GPT. Unless you want the plus version. It's free.
We really need a sponsorship. Yeah.
Yeah. Chat, where you at, y'all? Yeah, we need to get the bag because I probably done brought mad people, right? Flocks.
I am one of them.
Yeah, I said GPT. So listen. But there's no excuse now.
No, not at all.
Yeah, you got the information. Or the second way to go about it is find somebody who you feel like you align with closely and then see what they're voting for and vote in that way. I actually learned that from a book called The 4-Hour Work Week. And Tim Ferriss, that's what he does. Like he's analyzes the peoples and where they vote, and they give recommendations, and then he uses those recommendations to save him time. That's much less, like, you should get your own informed. He didn't have ChatGPT when he made the 4-Hour Work Week, but that's another way, right? And so if you want to do that, listen to us. So, all right.
That was good.
Yeah, thank you. Just do that. Okay, so we done. Yeah, what I missed with that? Anything?
Any other reasons?
Like what other things, or just things that I should be talking about right now that's so important for us to be going to vote? You know.
I don't know. I know people will make other excuses about electoral college, so the popular vote don't matter and things like that. I'm just like, nah, don't get me into the specifics because I don't always keep up with understanding that this and the third.
Yeah, I go.
But you know.
Popular vote does matter. I mean, especially if we like at some point in time, I can imagine we gonna the electoral college was. This is why the electoral college was made. The electoral college was set up by the founding people. I'm not gonna say what they call it. The four people. Ain't nobody daddies.
I cannot.
Nah, but what people call is the founding fathers. And like honestly, about like way back, the truth of the matter was people set it up because, again, information wasn't as plentiful at that time, and folks were concerned that folks, without having access to all of the information, might make a choice that is counterproductive for America, right? And so they had the electoral college there almost as like a buffer to where something was about to crash out. You know what I mean? Like we about to do something ridiculous that they would be able to step in and vote in a way. And so basically they're like the representatives. Since then, the truth of the matter is I don't think there has been I don't even know who they are, right? And there has not been a time that they have voted in a way that goes against what happened with the electoral college setup. So they haven't like the people in the states have voted for this person and they go vote for somebody else. That hasn't happened, right? In our history, that I know of in our recent history. And so that's why it was set up to protect the people against, what's going on. I could see a time in the future where we ratify that, where it's actually the popular vote.
That would be nice.
I don't think there has been a Republican candidate who has won the popular vote, and I don't remember the last one. I was just reading up on that. It's been a minute. I can ask Chad.
Yeah, you might as well.
Yeah, but it's been a minute. So you've heard that argument, though?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I hear a lot of people talking about not wanting to vote. And it's like, come on. Or people who've never registered, can't tell you where their voting poll is. People feeling like, well, it depends on where you live, but some people feeling like they put so many blockades or obstacles or barriers for me to do so. And I remember when I wasn't living like at home because I was away at college, and I did a write-in ballot because my official address was not where I was residing at the time. And it's like, but sometimes I don't think people even are aware that you can mail in your ballots, or there's like other options if you cannot physically get to the polls, right? That happens a lot.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Yes, exactly. And people here register to vote. It's just like an easy
process.
Yeah.
Takes a few seconds. What? Like, it don't take. I mean, I haven't done it so long ago. I'm like, it didn't take that long. I don't remember that being a problem. I was excited at the time. You finally turned 18. It's like, because I used to go with my parents all the time. They would like take me in, show me what they did because it mattered to vote. Like it was very clearly stated and shown to me as a child that it is important to utilize. And waiting on them lines, we're talking about Brooklyn, them lines were long. And we waited and then we got in there and I was so excited to watch my parents do their little vote thing, and I couldn't wait till that was my turn. So when the time came, I was like, I'm voting. And that was a big election because it was Obama versus
and 08?
Yeah.
McCain.
Was it McCain? Because I was like, was that Al Gore? Which year was that? I don't remember.
Al Gore before that.
Don't judge me, y'all.
With President George W. Bush.
Ah, yes.
And then it was McCain, and then it was Mitt Romney, who I actually like Mitt Romney. I like McCain. So there was a time where I would have thought about voting Republican.
Which is fine. That's the thing. People get so, like, stuck on title or group, right?
Yeah,
it's
like your political party.
Oh, you're a Republican?
Nah.
Oh, you're a Democrat? Nah. And when I moved out here, my mom was like, maybe you shouldn't, register as Democrat. Maybe you should register as Republican. I was like, why? She's like, because where you are, Vermont, it's going to be a lot of Republicans. And I'm like, and I was like, why would I deny who I am? Because in my mind, I'm 18. What do I know? In my mind, you are one thing. And like, we've always been Democrats. Like, New York City is very Democratic. Right. It makes sense. But as you grow and you age, in wisdom, of course, you notice like, oh, it's not really about the title as much as like the views, the values, what matters.
Yeah.
And there are times when it's not going to fall under one umbrella.
Nah.
Sometimes it's a mix.
Yeah, it's a blend, which is why I actually identify, and I'm like going to register as a like re-register, because they like certain things you can't do if you're in a category, which is so interesting. Like if you register as a Republican, you can't do certain things or get certain. It's like it's so weird how that works out. I don't know all the details, but I do know that. But I'm liberal. I mean, honestly, I'm an independent, more liberal, democratic leaning person, but I'm independent. I will, like I said, if Mitt Romney was running today, I might vote for bro. He actually was. He was the inspiration for the Affordable Care Act, formerly known as Obamacare. He made that. John McCain. That's a good. He got integrity. He had good plans and policies. Now he couldn't beat Obama because Obama was a beast. But it's like, yo, it's like that. So I'm independent. It's about policies and what's going on there, right? So yes, I'm with you for sure.
It makes perfect sense. I get that. And I mean, growing up, I didn't really understand liberal versus conservative,
right,
or like the differences with Democrat versus Republican. I just knew, I'm around Democrats, I'm Democrat.
Right, New York
There's
City.
no difference, right? No difference. But I had a teacher who was very liberal and did not care for me because naturally I would be perceived as more conservative. How I carry myself, I'm very modest, very religious, or, growing up very religious. And so she said to me one time, my teacher, whom is a grown woman, like a 16-year-old, I would never vote for you for president. And I was like, why? I did not understand at the time. And now I'm like, oh, because I came off very conservative to her. Like I would clearly never be open and, love it. Yeah, she did not like me.
Dang, look at you now. See?
Yes, I'm not going to call her out. But when I promise you, there are days I think about her and I was like, wow, the way you could have really hurt me if I allowed it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I never had no teacher like that. I wish I did. I wanted to be like the typical like rapper story. Like my teacher didn't want me to make it. Look at me now. Nah, my teacher's like, oh, yeah, you got it. And I was the one like, man, I ain't trying to deal with this because I was trying to be cool. Like, I ain't trying to hear that. But that's crazy.
Yeah. She did not care for me at all. But like, I really didn't participate in all kinds of like what you would perceive as liberal type of, activities or mindsets.
Yeah, for sure.
I was like, but you grow as a person. And I was like,
that's interesting.
Yeah. So I'm like, most people would think I was probably under that umbrella more. But I was like, no, it's more of a blend.
Yeah, and now you got your own idea. It's kind of like, yes, that makes sense. Like, same thing. I think I can equate that to people who grow up in, like, religious space and kind of find their own, like, they get their own roots in faith. Same thing with me. Like, I grew up, Democrat, because a lot of times Democratic policy align more with the black agenda. But now I'm independent. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Liberal leaning, you know what I'm saying? But I'm independent. So that makes sense. Back to what we were saying, though, the Electoral College. The last time it was 2004, so 20 years ago was the last time a Republican won the popular vote.
Who was that?
George W. Bush.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah, which, as you can tell, y'all know what y'all was doing, because that was but like, what y'all was talking about? Y'all think y'all couldn't vote at that point.
Was a rough. He was 8 years, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah. Was he 8 years?
I believe.
Yeah, see, y'all did that to yourselves.
We were children.
No. Oh yeah, because Obama came in 2012. No, I'm tripping. Obama came in 2008.
Yeah.
So no, that's 4 years. Because was he 2000, 2004?
Yes.
Oh, because Bill Clinton came out of there, and then yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was there for 9/11, so that's how.
Oh, you're right. 2004 to 2004 to 2008. Why would y'all do that twice, bro? But okay.
I mean, he clearly had the popular vote. It makes sense.
Y'all is tripping. Okay. So Electoral College. Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention, the Electoral College was also, everything was a derivative from slavery. Because the Electoral College, you got more votes in the Electoral College, because that's based on population size.
Yes.
You got more votes by your population. And they argued to say, how much is a black person worth?
Right.
And it was 3/5 a person.
Right.
And that's where the phrase 3/5 a man. Imagine that. So we had people who were enslaved people, not slaves. So enslaved people were so dehumanized, they counted as 3/5 a man.
Which is 60%, for anybody wondering.
Wow.
Not 100. We're just 60%.
Wow. So
Can you imagine?
So going back to like the historical why we should vote. The system was set up, and now we got the voice. Like, we don't want to like just spit on that.
Right,
you know
right.
what I'm saying?
So like they used their what's the word? I don't know how to describe a group of people that you own.
Enslaved people.
Yeah, the enslaved people. They used their trove of people and counted that as why they needed more votes or something.
No, so it was like, so remember the electoral college. So
I'm learning too, guys.
I got you. You win the election, or based on how many votes you got from the electoral college, which is why like the bigger states get a lot of attention, or the swing states that have more of those, like a Michigan because it's a little bit larger, or like New York and California typically going Democrat really helps because they got a lot of electoral college votes. So southern states benefited because they had enslaved peoples. And so remember, the higher the population, the more electoral college votes you got. So
the more people they own, the better it helped them.
The more people in the states, period. So if they did not count, just how they compromise, if they say we're not going to count people who are enslaved, you have less people, less representation when it's time to vote. If you do count enslaved people, you have more people and more electoral college votes. The argument from the South was we need to count these people. And so the compromise was called the 3/5 compromise.
Right. No, I get that.
Black folks were 3/5 person.
I was just thinking that if that was such a big thing, then they were looking to add more and more to ensure that they always like could swing the elections. You know what I'm trying to say? Like the more people they had, the better it benefited them. So let's just keep buying people.
Like basically that's like an indirect incentive to actually own more people.
To continue the slave. You know what I mean? It's like it's all just cycled together for someone else's benefit.
Yeah, great point. Okay. So
if you can't see him, the way he be positive and looking at me, it's like, what's up?
Nah, it's like, you know, that. So I think, so what right now, let's put out there, we got our Kamala and Donald. And it's like, I think right now, this is unique to me in that I think every election since 2016 has felt more about, it's more of like it feels more of a moral choice than a choice about
policy
and the standing of our nation when it comes to that, like strategic.
Yeah.
It's like people are choosing between what can I do morally. And sometimes that was always the case, especially like if it's heavily religious, you think about like abortion rights and whatnot and all those things. That's always felt moral to people. But Donald Trump versus Hillary and then Biden and dang, I've been in the election nonstop. What, can he stop running? That just hit me. Why is he still here?
What are you talking?
Donald Trump again? That just hit me.
It's only the second time, right? No, this is the third time, but like he only won the one time.
Right, but I'm saying he back again for another. How many times can he run? This is ridiculous.
Do they have a cap?
No, but how many times you can serve term wise. But I'm saying
that just hit me. Really gonna
every election we had to deal with this drama.
Age is really gonna be the deciding factor because you just get to a point where no comment on the current president.
Well, people talking about Joe.
You
Donald
feel
Trump
me?
only 3 years younger.
Hence, that's what I'm like. After a while, the faculties ain't faculty.
Yeah, bro, is he up there? Okay, but I'm saying all that to say it's like, dang, each time that Brothers ran, it felt like a moral dilemma.
Yeah, I think I've heard that if he doesn't win this time, he said he's gonna. But you know, he says a lot of things. So who knows?
But he's gonna be 85 almost. Like what? So okay, so is this a moral dilemma? Do you feel like it's a moral dilemma?
Yes.
The vote?
Always. Well, at least for this one, I feel like I have heard people say things about, well, based off the party and what they stand for, I have to vote that way. But at the same time, I am focused on the person. And to watch someone say such vile things about the population that they're supposed to serve, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel saying, yes, be my president. Like, you don't represent me. It sounds like you don't even like me.
Oh.
It's like to call out Caribbean people for doing things that is so far from true and to spread that. It's like, do you understand that Haiti is the only Caribbean nation that had a revolt that was successful? They unenslave themselves. They don't get any sort of respect from anybody. And to be, it's infuriating. And I'm like, I understand my family is not from that island, but the Caribbean islands are all one. And I'm just going to stand for our people. Like no. I mean, he made fun of mentally like disabled people. Why is that okay? The ways he would speak about women. I'm a woman. I don't feel safe in your presence. None of that. I cannot sit here and say, yes, I'm a vote for you. How? And I understand people feel differently. That is, everyone's right to feel how they feel. But I morally cannot. It's almost like I don't know if it mattered who would have been next to him. It would be very hard for me, having listened to the words he says and the way he speaks about people or treats people, to be okay with saying, I want you to represent me.
Yeah, that's such a good point. So you don't feel reflected in him and his policies and his presidency.
Not at all. And then most of the time, so I listen to the debate and I don't hear policies.
Ooh,
you know what I mean? Like even if I wanted to just like, let me put the moral side down for a moment. Yeah. Let me see if what he's gonna do stands with what I want. Yeah. He ain't saying nothing.
Yeah.
I ain't hear a plan. I heard I'm trying to get rid of something, but I ain't got no plans.
Yeah.
How is that helping me? That does not say I have confidence in this leader. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I'm good on it.
Yeah. That's such a good point. And I agree with you. That is like, it has become, because of those things, it has become a moral debate or a moral dilemma. And I think it's so sad because like if I had to pull out a positive, just to be honest, if I had to be objective and pull out what's a positive about Donald Trump, is that, and I don't mean this jokingly, he says most things at a third grade level, and so everybody can understand. So it's accessible. No, listen.
I'm trying to hold it. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I know you're being serious.
So everything is understandable.
And it's clear. Yes.
It ain't clear, but it's like at a third grade level. So like he's like, it was, instead of saying this was like an abundance of, he said there was very, very much. Okay, everybody can understand that. Now it might feel like he piecing words together, he's struggling, but the truth of the matter is like, I remember as a kid, maybe as a young person, like in my like 16 to 19, watching political debates, and I'm like, what is this language?
True.
I'm like, it felt like is it like a foreign language? Like, what are they talking about? He has made it to where like people not have to speak plainly.
Right.
Because you got to connect with the audience.
Right. And I mean, when I say clear, I mean, you clearly know he's not saying anything. Like, you're clearly aware.
It's not coherent.
He's not saying anything of substance.
Right.
And for that, I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
I can't mince the words, so don't tell me no different, people. I heard it myself.
And you know what, though? It's like, in the, because here's the thing. He socially, emotionally, I think, is not intelligent at all. But I think he has some intelligence. He has to.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone. And I think the substance gets lost in all these other things. And the truth of the matter is, when he got elected the first time, if he would have leaned into the stuff that he does know and like navigated, he could have because he already had gotten this like wave of people. The reason why everybody's mobilizing the way they are against him, because it's like, listen, if there's like, if you kind of like see, it's like one or two, I'm just going to, not to compare him to this.
You're fine.
But if you see like mouse droppings in the house, like, it's going to be like, oh, snap. You're going to be uncomfortable, but you might forget about it come 3-4 weeks later. You don't see nothing else going on, right? But if you see this joint running around the crib all the time, it's like a visceral, violent reaction. Like, oh, no, we got to do something about this. Like, he already got in. All he had to do was be as quiet as a mouse.
You would think, yeah.
And he was good now.
Yeah. And
he just kept it going. So like the issue with bro is that he might have some substance. And some of the things like he actually did do this and I'm gonna look I love ChatGPT, I'm gonna look it up. But he has something called the First Step Act that actually helped to free people or create an avenue for folks to get out of jail for like crimes that were like lower level offense crime.
Yeah.
But I thought it was dope. Like that's what's up. But his rhetoric on tough law and order, the way it is like to the point where it's like I can't even support that because of the way you're talking about it.
Problematic.
And honestly, I think how you just described your relationship to the president is how most people's is. Like you are the reflection of our nation, and our nation is made up of multiple parts. That's a good thing about the concept of America is that's supposed to be so many people. And I say concept.
Oh,
we
heard
so
it.
many people.
We know.
Right? That come together and bring all these like ideals and culture and the best of us.
Right.
And the president must reflect that, not divide that.
Right.
And that is the issue. The president is really the mouthpiece for all the people.
Exactly.
It's all these other people who are doing the work.
Right.
But you the mouthpiece. And if that's what you're saying, we can't get behind. There's no way. It's
How?
a moral dilemma.
How? I mean, once he told me that my black job
Come on.
was like possibly threatened
Come on.
because of people coming from a different country. Now, as a daughter of immigrants, I don't know if I have a black job. I thought I just had a job. I just didn't understand what he was trying to tell me. I was like, how many times are you going to offend me in one sentence? It's just, I cannot personally. And I understand that and I'm not here to fight you or tell you that you shouldn't vote for him if that's what you want to do. I would just like you to explain to me why.
Yeah, help me understand.
Yeah, I just like to learn.
And the anti, because this and the third is not what I want to hear.
Yeah, that's all I ever hear.
Tell me the reason why.
Yeah.
Like, what's the actual reason?
Why is he your choice? Why is he your candidate?
Right.
Now, mind you, financially, I think he is a very intelligent businessman.
Yeah.
I would never look at, I can't lie. Who am I going to pretend with? Yeah. Like, sir, you are clearly intelligent on many levels.
Great marketer.
But I cannot say, maybe be the treasurer. I just don't understand why you want to. You know what I'm saying? I just don't get it. Don't get it.
He astute to know what needs to be done. He don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
But yes, no, I'm with you.
Yeah.
That's real talk. And just even to think like, the concept of that. And so let's walk through and so this is where we being honest with y'all about where we stand with this. If we walk through and say, here are some of the things that go on in the policies piece. And these are pulled directly from each candidate's line of sight. So just high level. So and this is the thing, through different level of taxes, this is what people don't like. It might raise taxes for some folks. Kamala wants to expand the Affordable Care Act and some public health care options, right? Some people want to get to a single payer system, which means we just have one insurance carrier, like government instance of a payer, which in theory lower costs, right? It's so complex to get there, but at the very least, we want to keep the Affordable Care Act, formerly known as Obamacare, which is like you can't deny somebody for pre-existing conditions, put some controls on the cost of prescription drugs, blah, 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 for a long time. So now Donald Trump is saying he actually wants to keep that because he realized that it's so popular.
And
but
it
he
helps a
opposed
lot
that.
of people.
Yeah, but he opposed
like,
that.
unfortunately, this nation is very sick. And, and it's a pharmaceutical cycle to keep everyone sick. So that is so beneficial for most of the population.
Yeah. Kamala has supported climate change regulations to help promote preventing the effects of climate change. So investing in things like clean energy. So Donald Trump actually pulled the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Agreement to roll back environmental regulations to prioritize energy independence. So that right there to me is a huge thing. So I don't know what people are thinking about. Global warming is a real thing. Climate change is a real thing. It's just that's scientifically proven. I don't know what theory you're talking about. The globe is even just simple global warming. The globe is warmer and its impact. That is scientific. We know that to be a fact. We have to do something, or we're gonna see 3 hurricanes back to back.
Right, day after tomorrow.
Which is happening right now, literally.
Yeah.
What
was it? North Carolina, Florida.
It's underwater in Asheville, Tennessee. It's underwater right now.
Yeah, it's not good. It's
29
rough.
feet.
And a lot of people wouldn't know how bad it is because they don't necessarily live there. But it's recognize this is happening in our country.
People dying, and it's literally underwater. So okay, all right, just put it out there. Issues with immigration. So most Republicans, including Trump, are stricter immigration laws. I think immigration law is one of them things where you need to do there need to be some regulations. How you do it is important. The rhetoric is the worst thing.
Yes,
is that if someone's born here, no matter the status of their parents, they should have citizenship and not have to be fear of being deported as a child. That's a problem. To be deported to what?
Yeah, and to whom?
That's a problem.
Yeah.
to just say it's not our problem.
Right.
It's the issue. That's a moral dilemma. But also the rhetoric. It's like, we got to stop talking like that. Like, there's people, what?
Because this nation is full of whom?
Do you see what I'm saying?
Like, unless you are indigenous to this country.
Come on now.
Hello.
And don't be like, well, you're not. Yes. Brought here against my will.
Yes.
And then built the country. And then get paid for it, and people want to fight against reparations, but that's okay.
Like, I remember all those generations back. Well, you wouldn't be here without it, so.
Listen.
And you won't be here in the future, so let them. But anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not a politician. Let me be quiet.
Yeah, listen, y'all. So, so we got to do something with that. Everybody wants to have stricter laws and securities with the border. That's on both sides right now. But what that means after is to like clean up the process to get citizenship, to make it a more streamlined process,
It's very
to make
muddled.
it easier for folks. It's very long, you know what I mean? So, and it's fraught with like risk. So that's what Kamala's supporting. So I support that, right? Let's have better security, but at the same time, make it an easier pipeline or pathway to become a citizen here. So that's huge, you know?
Yeah.
Because a lot of folks are coming, they talk about taking jobs. It's like, nah, we are creating jobs. And a lot of the jobs that folks are doing, unfortunately, because of where folks have to start in the job market, are jobs that folks wouldn't do. It's not jobs, it's like.
You can't take what's available. That's just the bottom line.
You know what I'm saying?
Literally cannot take what is available.
Fist pump. That was tough. Yes. And then, LGBTQ plus rights, gun control. It's not like you're trying to take our guns. Like she said, like, Kamala's a gun owner. She said, you break into my house?
As Waltz, they are both.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't understand the fight on that one, where it's like, we're having school shootings every day. Come on.
Yeah, let's put some more restrictions.
There should be restrictions on children, especially having access to weapons.
Yeah.
I would think we all want our kids to be safe. I would think that's just like a
bare
standard.
minimum.
No, is that not okay?
Like, at the end of the day, yeah, there should be some level of cognitive
Yes.
test. There should be some background
Yes.
check. There should be some regulations. We don't need to get
Automatic
city
weapons. For what? That's not for hunting. Stop it.
Help me understand.
You're not in the military. Why do you need it? What's going on?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Well,
all right. Let me
and
breathe.
so people would say that, honestly, most of the things that happen with guns are from like illegal weapons, and that's because the access to legal weapons comes from the production of these weapons, and a lot of them are produced and made here, which then makes it into the hands of folks who want to use them in different ways because they have access to other means. So that's that all is intertwined. But at the very start, we don't need to be producing this. Put it this way: the places that don't have guns legal to anything but like the police force, I think it might have been like France had like 2%. It's like 2% of violent crimes happen with guns. Crazy.
Yeah, a lot of stats in different countries, and I'm like, okay, there are some policies we can happily adopt.
Yeah.
Because there's just no rhyme or reason.
Yeah. So that's our story. We sticking to it. Now, all that to say, I'll put it this way: folks have their own reasons to vote for who they want to vote for, right? And so we just want to share the information. Who you want to vote for is who you want to vote for. This is what we want to share here. The most important thing, though, for me, is that you do research first, understand, and don't let it just be like, don't watch Fox News or CNN and then make your decision. Go do your own research. Like, let's go figure out what's going on, and then go out there and vote. Like, exercise your right to vote. Let's utilize that, especially our Black and brown folks.
Yes.
And it's like, regardless, again, of who you voting for or how you voting, do your research first, have an informed decision, because there's nothing worse than an uninformed decision. But have an informed decision, and then go exercise your right to vote. We need you right now. The stake of a lot depends on that.
Literally, as we looked at different stats, depending on the year, when we as Black and brown did not vote as much, certain candidates got in, and it did not help us. So all I'm saying is, please, whatever aligns with your values, align it with the policy.
Ooh, that's a great point. So just point that out there. In 2012, good, you found these stats. In 2012, for the first time in U.S. history, Black voter turnout surpassed that of white voter turnout by about 2%, largely in support for Barack Obama. 2016, our turnout dropped
Heavily.
heavily down to like 59%. Right? Which actually, if you think about it, that's when
Exactly.
Trump got in the office.
That is my point.
And then in 2020, black
Went
voter
back up.
turnout rose again,
Right.
62% by a significant push for voter mobilization. And then you see Joe Biden got in the office. So if you look at, again, we as many times in many different places, how we go, the world goes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? When it comes to music, style, anything culturally. But if you look at here, it also goes to presidential elections. So it's on us and allies to go out here and make the right decision, y'all.
Right.
But at the very least, in all seriousness, make a decision, right? Let's go out there and vote. Anything you want to leave the folks with, though, that's important?
No, just like, whatever your values are, align it with the policy. It is important. And if you have moral standing, align that with a candidate who reflects you.
Amen. Listen, y'all, they might be sitting here listening like, what in the world are they talking about? But we might be right.
We might be wrong.
But at the end of the day,
just young, black, and figured it out.
Tough.
CC on the track, boy.